Jai Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari. Jaya Gopi Jana Bhalabha Jaya Giri Bharadhari Jaya Giri Bharadhari. Jaya Gopi Jana Bhalabha Jaya Giri Bharadhari Jaya Giri Bharadhari. Jaya Yashoda Nandana Jaya Vraja Jana Ranjana Jaya Vraja Jana Ranjana. Jaya Jashoda Nandana Jaya Vraja Jana Ranjana Jaya Vraja Jana Ranjana. Yamuna Tiravanachari Jaya Kunja Bihari. Jamuna Tiravanachari Jaya Kunja Bihari. Jamuna Tiravanachari Jaya Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari. Madhava Jaya Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari. Jaya Kunja Bihari. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivrajagacharya Ashtotara Srimad, His Divine Grace. A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki. Jayam Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivrajagacharya Ashtotara Srimad, His Divine Grace Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki. ISKCON Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki. Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam Ki. Itai Gaura Premanandi. Oh, glories to the assembled devotees. Oh, glories to the assembled devotees. Oh, glories to the assembled devotees. Oh, glories to Shishiguru and Shigauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 9, entitled Liberation, Chapter 20, entitled The Dynasty of Puru. We start from text number 2 all the way to text number 12. So I read. Text number 2, translation. King Janameyaya was born of the dynasty of Puru. Janameyaya's son was Prachinwam, and his son was Prabira. Thereafter, Prabira's son was Manushu, and from Manushu came the son named Charupada. Text number 3. Translation. The son of Charupada was Sudyu, and the son of Sudyu was Bahugaba. Bahugaba's son was Samyati. From Samyati came a son named Ahamyati, and from whom Raudrashra was born. Text 4 and 5, translation. Raudrashra had 10 sons named Riteyu, Kasheyu, Standileyu, Kriteyuka, Yaleyu, Sanateyu, Dharmeyu, Satyeyu, Brateyu, and Vaneyu. Of these 10 sons, Vaneyu was the youngest, and as the 10 senses, which are the products of the universal life, act under the control of life, these 10 sons of Raudraswa acted under Raudraswa's full control. All of them were born of the Apsara named Gritachi. Text number 6, translation. Riteyu had a son named Rantinava, who had 3 sons named Sumati, Dhruva, and Apratiratha. Apratiratha has only one son whose name was Kamva. Text number 7. The son of Kamva was Medatiti, whose sons, all Brahmanas, were headed by Prashkanna. The son of Rantinava, named Sumati, had a son named Rebhi. Maharaj Dushmanta is well known as the son of Rebhi. Text 8 and 9. Translation. Once, when King Dushmanta went to the forest to hunt and was very much fatigued, he approached the residence of Kambwa Muni. There he saw a most beautiful woman who looked exactly like the goddess of fortune and who sat there illuminating the entire ashram by her effulgence. The king was naturally attracted by her beauty, and therefore he approached her, accompanied by some of his soldiers, and spoke to her. Text number 10, translation. Seeing the beautiful woman, the king was very much enlivened, and the fatigue of his hunting excursion was relieved. He was, of course, very much attracted because of his lusty desires, and thus he inquired from her as follows, in a joking mood. Text number 11, translation. O beautiful lotus-eyed woman, who are you? Whose daughter are you? What purpose do you have in this solitary forest? Why are you staying here? And today's text, number 12, we'll read together. Vyaktan rajan jatanayam vetmyaham twan sumadyame nahi chetta pauravanam adharme ramate kvachit vyaktam ranjanyatanayam vetmyaham tvam sumadyame nahi cheta pauravanam adharme ramate kvachit vyaktam ranjanyatanayam vetmyaham tvam sumadyame nahi cheta pauravanam adharme ramate kvachit. Vyaktam, he appears. Ranyatanayam, the daughter of a Kshatriya, with me can realize Aham, I, Tvam, your good self, Sumadhyame, O most beautiful, Na, not, He, indeed, Chittaha, the mind, Pauravanam, of person who have taken birth in the Puru dynasty, Adharme, in irreligion, Ramate, enjoys, Quachit, at any time. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki. O most beautiful one, it appears to my mind that you must be the daughter of a Kshatriya. Because I belong to the Puru dynasty, my mind never endeavors to enjoy anything irreligiously. Purport. Maharaj Dushmanta indirectly expressed his desire to marry Shakuntala, for she appeared to his mind to be the daughter of some Kshatriya king. Om Agyana Timirandasya Jananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Umilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Guruve Namaha. Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasaya Bhutale Srimate Ramapada Swami Iti Namine. Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Prachaline Nirveshesha Shunyavadi Pashatyade Shatarine Vancha Kalpa Taruvyasha Kripa Sindhu Vyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. So, Maharaj Dushmanta, by seeing beautiful Shakuntala, he understood just by features that she was the daughter of a Kshatriya. Sometimes you say this, that it takes one to recognize one. How does that say? Takes one to know one. So, although circumstantially she was in the garb of an ascetic, she was living in the ashram of a great sage, Kamva Muni, in the deep forest by this sacred river, in the banks of this sacred river called Malini. Deep in the forest that was surrounded by all kinds of wild animals. So the circumstances not necessarily made it clear and obvious that she was a Kshatriya, of Kshatriya birth. But he concluded, or he thought, that she must be of a Kshatriya birth. And the fact is that he was able to guess right. He was right. And the story goes like this. The story of Shakuntala is very popular in India. And he have transcend, even over India, and then, her story has been told in different cultures through operas and dances, ballet and like that, and poetry and all kinds of dramatizing, through time. But it was first told in the Mahabharata. It appears the story of Shakuntala. And, well, not first, but is very much elaborated in the Mahabharata, which is basically the story of the Dynasty of Puru. the Mahabharata. So the story goes like this in the Mahabharata, that the king Dushyanta, he was in a hunting expedition, we hear here in the Bhagavatam, and he went deep into this forest, and being quite fatigued, he found the ashram of this beautiful ashram by the banks of the river. So he entered the ashram, understanding this was the ashram of Kanva Muni, and he wanted to offer his obeisances to the great sage and take darshan. So when he went into the ashram, there was no one there, or at least there was no sign that, anyone was there. So he's starting to call anyone, he's starting to call to see if someone will come out. And then he came out, this beautiful girl. And he immediately was attracted by the features of this lady, and he asked, who is she? Who's his father? What is she doing here? And that type of thing. So she responded that her father is the blessed Muni, Kanva Muni, and he is not here. He has been go out into the forest to collect some fruits. If he can wait, and then he will able to see him. So, so the king wanted to know about her, because he was taken by her beauty, and then he asked this question. He had the sense, well, it doesn't make sense that she's the daughter of this sage, because this sage is an ascetic. What is an ascetic having daughters? Like that. So it didn't click. It didn't make sense that okay, this renowned ascetic is just having a daughter and keep like that and conceiving a daughter. So he asked further, how's to explain about her. How did she got there? How is that? And she explained that she appears to be a Kshatriya. So she explained that she was the daughter, and this is what she heard from her father, Kanva Muni, of her origin, that she was the daughter of the sage Vishwamitra and the heavenly lady Menaka. So as we recall, some few, from a month ago or something like that, that we heard about the story of Vishwamitra Muni, and the union of Vishwamitra and Menaka happens by the the arrangement of Indra being nervous about Vishwamitra Muni's austerities. Then he sent this heavenly lady Menaka to distract him, to entice him, and she was successful. We heard the famous ankle bells of Menaka was able to completely take Vishwamitra out of his 1,000 years of austerities. And by seeing her, and there was this whole description of Indra making this whole, having the wind god, blow the garments of Menaka, and there is Menaka trying to catch her the garments, and then the tinkling bells, and then Vishwamitra look at this beautiful heavenly damsel, without garments, and then he say, that's it. He wanted to get together with her, so he left his austerities, and then from this union, then Shakuntala was conceived. And then we hear Vishwamitra realize, oh my God, what did I do? Then I threw away basically all the purpose of my austerities. His austerities was for the purpose of achieving the position of a Brahma Rishi. And then he was overcome by lust. So he started again. He left Menaka, and the story says that Menaka went to this forest by the bank of the river. He conceived this beautiful baby girl and then left it there. Basically abandoned her, the little baby, in the forest. And so the sage found this little baby, sage Kanva Muni. He found this little baby surrounded by vultures. Vultures were protecting her from the animals. So, and therefore she was named Shakuntala. Shakunta is a word, a Sanskrit word for birth. And Shakuntala means the one who was protected by birth, birds. So the sage found this little baby girl and named her Shakuntala. And she took her as his daughter, and brought her up. But the fact is that at that time, yes, Vishwamitra was still considered a Rajarshi, or a king, a Kshatriya. He was pursuing to become a Brahmana, but he still was considered a Kshatriya. So she was of a Kshatriya birth, Shakuntala. And so the story goes that the king, guessing right and hearing from her, immediately he proposed to her, like, we should get married. And we should get married right now, and we should fulfill a marriage. And then she said, well, but my father will come, let it come, and then he will bless us. It was for sure he will be agreeable to this. And the king said, no need to wait. Because in the scriptures there's different types of marriage. There's 8 different types of marriage that is given in the Manu Samhita. And one of them is called the Gandharva Viva, which is that you choose the bride, the bride, and how you say the man is the groom. No, they can choose independently from their father. Like the Swayamvara was a classic example of that was applied, but also, a Kshatriya girl can choose her husband. Or sometimes the two of them can choose independently like that, just by love. And therefore he said, it won't diminish your piety or your virtue, because this is accepted in the scriptures. And the fact is that we, descendants of Puru, we always never act irreligiously. We always act religiously. So this is all fine. And she said she agreed, but she gave one condition. The condition was that the son that is going to be the fruit of this union will be the heir prince or the successor of the dynasty. She should rule after Dushanta. And he said, no problem, be it. And then I promise you that I will send my army to come and pick you up and take you back to my kingdom. So the part of the Gandharva Viva is that you can get married without ceremony. There's no need of mantras and things like that. They got married, they consumed the marriage, and the king left, very happily, and with the promise that he gave to Shakuntala. And as he left, sometime later, Kanwa Muni came, and she was very ashamed. She was very ashamed because she did something without his father or his adopted father knowledge. But the sage, with his ascetic powers, he was able to see what happened. He was able to understand what happened, but he didn't become upset. He actually was very pleased. He said, what you did was not irreligious. It was fine. And the king, Dushanta, is a very highly qualified person. So the child that is going to be born is going to be an extremely qualified child. So she was very relieved and very happy. And the sage was very happy too. And he said, please ask for a boon. And she asked for this boon that all the descendants of Puru dynasty will never be deprived of the throne. So the sage gave this boon, and eventually this child took birth. And it was, this extremely beautiful child, and extremely powerful. It is explained that at the age of 3 years old, this kid was able to defeat lions and tigers. And he had this sort of game that he will capture the lions and the tigers, open the mouth of the creature, and then start to count the teeth. That was his fun, his playground. And he will tame them and then ride on the lion. They played, he will ride on the lions and the tigers. He will tie them to the trees, like bears and elephants. So the people of the ashram named him, they gave him a name, the one who tamed all. There was a name, let's see if I find the name. It's a Sanskrit name for the one who tamed everything. I don't see it here, but so anyway, there's a Sanskrit name for it. So at age 6, the kid grew up actually because he had this celestial type of nature, he actually grew very powerful and strong and very fast. So at the age of 6, Kanva Muni directed his disciples that it's time for this child to be anointed as the, how you say, the prince, the crown prince, or the heir prince, the one, prince regent, yes. So he should be anointed like that. So please take Shakuntala and the child to the kingdom of Dushanta, and so he can be established as the prince regent, of the Puru dynasty. So they went to Hastinapuri, which is the capital of the Purus, the ancient capital. And as they approached the king, then Shakuntala went and approached the king and saying, "My dear sir, my dear lord, here's your son. And just as you promised, just as we agree and you promise, here's him for you to actually anoint him as the successor." She was very happy, but she was taken aback and surprised at the king say, "Who are you? I don't remember you. What kind of claim is this? Wicked woman dressed as a sage. What are you saying?" I don't remember anything like that, which was like a shock. There she was basically so shocked that she stood there like a pillar, like in complete disbelief that the king, who was such a highly religious, qualified king in this great dynasty, will do something so terrible and low of cheating her in that way. So from the pain and the hurt and the humiliation and the grief, it became this rage and anger at what the position that the king was taking. But because she was so highly qualified, she controlled her anger and was able to chastise the king. You're saying, "Oh king, that where is this coming from? How is it possible that he's denying the truth? How is it possible that he's neglecting or disregarding the truth? That is not part of what he represents, the tradition of his character, the tradition of his dynasty." So she pleaded like that, and basically trying to bring the king to the king so he doesn't deviate from truthfulness and say a lie, such a lie like that. But the king remained steady in that position and basically keep sort of disregarded her and even called her wicked woman. And then she said basically, so she's go away. She can't be in with a person that is embracing a lie or being in that position. So with great disappointment and hurt and humiliation, she left. But she told before leaving, she told the king, even without you, this boy is going to rule the earth he's going to rule the earth in the dynasty of Puru. Even with you or without you, he's going to rule. And she left. But as she leaving, in front of the king and the king's court, a voice from the sky, like, one of those voices, like the one that Kamsa heard, like that, made this announcement, basically in the whole beautiful language of, poetry like that, but in short, it makes the announcement, this is your son, please don't disregard him and enjoy him because he is highly qualified. So the king was very happy to hear that. And then he called back the son and immediately embracing and accepting. And then he made clear at that point why he took that position, that although knowing and recognizing Shakuntala and remembering everything, he took that position of insulting her and disregarding her and accusing her of, she's not telling the truth. He explained why he took that position. And this is something that is quite remarkable when we hear the stories of these great personalities. Like externally, it appears that, what? This is very low. Externally, the things appear that are so wrong, so bad. I mean, how could he? Is basically taking advantage, just to satisfy some lusty desires. It's so low. So externally, it appears like that, but we have to remember, this is such a highly elevated personalities that, what appears externally, in generally has, so much depth to it that explains, how they discriminate in a very purpose matter what is the right thing to do. And sometimes that right thing to do, from the perspective of people that are much more, that are not as qualified, it may appear that, oh, this is so wrong, like most of us. Like I was telling my wife yesterday that I was listening to the Bhagavatam, and I was listening the birth of Maharaj Parikshit. And during the birth of Maharaj Parikshit, the Yudhishthira Maharaj was very, very happy with the birth of Maharaj Parikshit, and then he asked the astrologers to, give a chart of this boy. And the astrologers, the royal astrologers, were very, very impressed by the qualification of this boy. So they start to give a list of, this boy will be as righteous as Lord Ram. He will be as, in this way he will be like Bali Maharaj. In this way he will be like Lord Shiva. In this way he will be like this. They start to name all different types of qualities that are equated to the greatest persons who were an example of those qualities. You know, as a warrior, an archer who be equal to Arjuna. And then he said, the astrologer said, and in the matter of following religion, he will be like King Yayati. Now, we just heard about King Yayati, and sometimes externally we see that this guy was so taken by sex that, you know, he had to spend 1,000 years of, you know, having sensual life to actually get it. But the fact is that this king is the highest example, is a huge example for a king that follows religious principles. So how you put this together? Meaning that it's not, you know, what we see in the surface. Because the fact is that King Yayati never deviated from religious principles, even while engaging in this, you know, in sensual enjoyment. And he continued being an example, a high example of religiosity, which is, you know, there's a lot of depth to this thing. So King Dushyanta revealed why he acted like that to Shakuntala. He said that because we did this in secrecy and in a very private way. Our union was very private. There was no witness and no things like that. There was no marriage. There was no ceremony. So what will happen to my people, the kingdom, all the different ministers and the people of the kingdom, they would doubt your words. They would doubt that the purity of this boy is a fact. They will doubt the purity of the boy, the purity of the birth. They will think that this birth was just out of passion, out of, you know, some irreligious, you know, arrangement. The king just found this beautiful girl. This girl was like, hey, no problem. And then they get together and then a child takes birth out of pure lust and passion. So they will doubt the purity of the boy. So that will cause so much trouble for this boy and so much pain for her. So he needed that to be with no doubt. That will be, you know, ascertained or established. So as he was thinking like that, that's why he was sparing this boy of that situation and her. So he had to make that decision. But as was the arrangement that was there, then the celestial boys came and established the purity of the boy in front of everybody. So everybody was able to, being at least the court, was able to hear that announcement that this boy birth is pure, and she is, Shakuntala is you know, a very qualified, pious, religious, you know, lady. And thus, like that, Bharat was accepted, and he was, the celestial boy said he should name Bharat. Bharat means who is relish. So you relish this boy, this powerful boy, because he will be the greatest emperor, you know, like that, of this dynasty. So that's how the story goes. Any comments or questions? Giridhari.
Hare Krishna. Wondering if you First, thank you for narrating past time. It's really nice to hear. I was wondering if you know any information. I know Prabhupada mentions in some purports like to follow the instructions of the Manu Samhita. I'm wondering if you know if there's any like translations or if there's any devotees studying it, that text, to implement it currently.
I sort of heard that there's some parts of the Manu Samhita that is that just because Kali Yuga is almost, it's almost at first you have to have, a very well-established Vedic structure, social structure, the Varnashram, to be able to, apply many of the things of the Manu Samhita. And, but there are the samskaras and the behavior that is given for people who wants to live according to the laws that are there for mankind, that are given by the acharyas of this age of Kali. So we receive, in our line, we receive the Hari Bhakti Vilas, and some other books, the books of samskaras that are, compiled from the notes of Srila Gopal Bhatta Goswami, and being given by Srila Sanatana Goswami, the guidelines of what to do, what are the etiquettes, what are the different sacrifices we have to do through, or samskaras that we have to do through our time, principles that we have to cultivate, behaviors, different way of relating with different people, like that. So so these are guidelines to live in a way that you're in harmony. But many of the details not necessarily apply. For example, if someone steals from you, then you can go and kill him. It doesn't necessarily gonna go very well in these modern days, yeah. So I don't. It hasn't been, and I think it's very vast to the Manu Samhita. Very, very. That's what I remember hearing. Any other thing? Jai Baladev.
I have a short, brief question and a longer one. Maybe you could answer it. You were mentioning the son of Dushmanta and
Shakuntala.
What was their son's name? Oh, Bart?
Bharat.
Is that the same one, who was Jadabharta, then King? It's a different one, huh?
Well,
Maharaj Bart and then Jadabharta. Is that a different? So
yes, he's the one. He's the one who landed. Going yes.
Mm-hmm. Different personalities. Mm-hmm. Okay. My question is related to the trust. It appears that when the king met King Dushmanta met how do you say her name? Where's her name? I can't see it. Shakuntala. When he first met her, he was obviously influenced by lusty desires. And obviously, you trust someone if you're influenced. To the degree you're lusty, to that degree you trust someone. And we see this in a couple pastimes. One that reminds me is in the Bible. I'm not sure if you heard of the story of Samson and Delilah. That's a famous story in the Bible where Samson had great strength, and the source of his strength was his hair. And there was some antagonists against Samson named the Philistines. And so they hired a beautiful woman named Delilah to gain Samson's trust, to reveal to them the source of his strength. So after a few opportunities, she asked Samson, you know, my dear baby, what's the source of your strength? And he wouldn't tell her. So this happened a few times. She tried many things to get her strength. And finally, he broke down and told her the source of his strength, and which was his hair. And so while he was lying down, she cut off his hair, and basically she got monetary remuneration for revealing to the Philistines the source of his hair. So that's one pastime. Another one is in the Mohini Murti pastime, when the demons were associating, were fighting each other with the demigods. Then all of a sudden, Mohini Murti appeared. And they only met her 30 seconds ago, and they say, maybe, beautiful lady, you could settle this for us, even though she was there to treat them. So my question is regarding trusting, not society necessarily, but even devotees, because we see that people trust people based on lusty desires. If you're a beautiful woman, I trust you. If you come from my nationality, my creed, my color, I trust you. If you come from my family, I trust you. But we can see in the scriptures that even family members betray each other, even people within the same religion betray each other. So one analogy I appreciate is that a Christian is like the spider. Jayapataka explained this in Vaishnava K, in his commentary to Bhaktisiddhanta's book, Vaishnava K, verse 3. He says, just as a spider is never entangled by its web, so Lord Krishna can never be entangled in a web of lust, anger, greed, etc. So it appears that our trust, our full trust should only go on Krishna, because we can see that when devotees or people do things to betray that trust, you know, your whole life comes crashing down. But we hear from the sastras that really, you know, Krishna's the only one who's completely free from this web of material existence. So how important is it to not necessarily put your trust in, your full faith in devotees, without considering it to be like a negative feeling or an aparad? How do you handle that dilemma that, okay, I'm not going to put my full trace in the devotees, but at the same time, I don't want to have negative feelings, or I don't want it to be considered an aparad because I don't fully trust you. So maybe you could explain a little bit, if you understood my question, that dilemma that, you know, that comes up in devotees' lives. I know somebody recently, some devotee betrayed somebody's trust, and, you know, that sort of kind of made them lose faith in Krishna to a certain degree. So maybe you could elaborate on that a little bit. Hare Krishna.
Well, it's a question of maturity again. You know, it's a recurring theme. It's a question of maturity that we start with ourselves. It's always the recommendation and the direction that we receive consistently from the acharyas, from the instructions, you know, that we receive in the scriptures, from the sadhus, is that we always have to be introspective. So the problems of trust that we have with others is a reflection at the end, you know, of basically it comes out from the desire to be independent, basically. You know, I know better, and I'm in the position of being able to ascertain, oh, this person is right, this person is wrong, based on what I observe and what I can, you know, process of the things that I observe. But we have to understand that what we look into and what we processing comes to the consciousness that we have at a particular time, or the quality of our consciousness. And if I understand that I'm a conditioned soul, that I'm conditioned by all kinds of things that becomes an obstacle to my Krishna consciousness, then I can see that, you know, the way I'm seeing things is being filtered through my state of consciousness. So should I trust myself? And should I trust, you know, my capacity? So in general, when we ask that question to ourselves, we say, yeah, it's true. You know, I don't necessarily have to put all my trust on the way I see things. So at least we can check. That's why we always need, you know, our spiritual guides, people that we trust. We require that. We require the spiritual master, and we require those who are, you know, both Diksha and Shiksha gurus. And then from there, from the sadhus, from guru, from shastra, we can actually find out the guidelines or the directions of how to discriminate and how to understand where things are right. So in this way, you know, what appears to be like, you know, same the point that I was making, externally may appear that this person is losty, and externally may appear that this person is not only losty but is deceitful. But actually, the person is a highest example of religiosity. So then how a person in my position had it so wrong? Well, it's simple, you know, because I usually try to understand things from my realm of experience. And my realm of experience is not necessarily very high, you know, to understand how to act in religion, really like that. So therefore, we're completely, people, like most of us, are completely dependent on the guidance of Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra. Otherwise, so, you know, if we have that, then I won't necessarily, you know, take this sort of almost prideful or position of thinking, you know, yeah, you know, I can pass certain judgments. This guy is not, I should not trust this person, and like that. So it's better to have always that connection to guide one's decision. I'm going to stop here because it's a little past time, but you know, we can discuss something if you need. Okay, is that all right? Thank you so much. Garantara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.